Hi guys, today I will be showing you how to make this 3D lamb or sheep, and you're going to need 73 single rubber bands and a cotton ball to stuff them with. So let's get started. I'm going to make him on this monster tail configuration using 2 looms. If you have a monster tail, you can go ahead and use that, or if you have 2 looms, you can recreate it. But you can also just make it on any loom in any configuration. We're going to use 6 pegs and expand to 8 and to smush it down. To start, we're taking a single band, twist, double, and looping from one peg, twist in the center to the other. Second band, twist, double, same thing, crossing in the center to the peg across from it. So we're covering 4 pegs. That's row number 1. Row number 2, we'll do 4 single rubber bands. I'm using black, covering 4 pegs. Go under, grabbing the bottom 2 bands, and loop up and onto the center of our loom. Push it down. That's row number 2. And now let's expand to 6 pegs, taking these 2 off of that peg and moving it to the second peg on the side. And we want to pull a band off of this peg that's attached to this side one. So I'm going to go in. This one is attached to this side, so I'm going to hold it, grabbing this other loop that's attached to this peg, so we'll pull it across and reattaching this one back onto that center first peg. And let's move a band off of here that's attached to this one to move it to the 6th peg. So this one is clearly attached to this one, so I hold it, grab the other loop off of that second peg, loop it to the 3rd, and reattaching this loop onto the center 2nd peg. So now we have 6 pegs covered, and these 2 has 1 loop, these 2 has 1, and this one and that one has 2. Now for row number 3, we're adding the eyes. I'm using navy blue from Rainbow Loom, looping it 4 times on my hook, repeating for the other eye, and getting the eyes onto some black bands. So getting each eye onto a single black band, repeat for the other eye, and attaching it on those 3 pegs like that. Those are my eyes, and covering the rest with a single black band, covering the 6 pegs. Go under, grabbing the bottom 2 bands. These 2 will have a single band because we expanded it. Push it down. That was row number 3, and we should have 2 bands or 2 loops left per peg. Take 2 single bands, loop it 3 times on a hook, and pulling these 2 loops off, the ones that's between the eyes, and getting these loops onto the 2 black bands, and then putting the bands back on that first peg right there. And this is the curls in between. Row number 4, we're going to add the ears and more curls. So for the ears, let's do it on the loom. taking a single band from the first peg to the second, 2 single bands, down once, repeat for the other ear, and you can make this white if you want. I'm making them black, and then capping it off by looping it 3 times. 2, 3, going under, grabbing the bottom 2 bands, and just loop up and onto itself. Repeat for the other side. Now take 2 single bands, we'll loop it 3 times on a hook. Repeat one more time. 2 single bands, looping it 3 times on a hook. Taking a single band, pulling those loops onto the single band, and attaching it for our ears right above our eye pegs, like that. And then let's take our ear off the loom, one side, and pulling the bottom side of that white band we just looped on with the curls, and pulling our ear right onto that single band and reattaching it. So one of my ear is done. Let's do it on the other side. Same thing, taking a single band, getting the curls onto that single band and attaching it on the 2 pegs above our eyes, like that. Getting our ear off of the loom and pulling this side of the white loop off of our loom, getting the ears onto that white loop and reattaching it. So our ears are on, and let's finish the rest with white bands. So this is row number 4, covering the rest of the 6 pegs with a single band, and then looping the bottom 2 bands up and over. For all 6 pegs, push it down. Now let's expand, taking these 2 loops off on the side peg and attaching it to the opposite center peg, like that. And now we want to pull a loop off of this peg that's attached to the first and pulling it to the third, and repeat on the other side. So I'm reaching in the second peg, pull a loop off, and I see this is attached to the center peg, and I don't want that one, so I'm holding on to it, grabbing this one. It's attached to the first, so I'm moving it to the third peg and then reattaching this one onto the second peg. Again, repeat for this side, reaching in, grabbing a loop, and I see it's attached to the center peg. We don't want that one. Hold it. We want to grab this one that's attached to the first peg and looping it to the third side peg and reattaching this one onto the second. So the second and third on both sides have a single loop, and the rest has 2 loops on it. Now for row number 5, let's add the feet. Let's make the feet for row number 5, taking a single white band, coming from the first to the second peg, like that, taking 2 black bands, coming down our loom for our legs. Now taking a single band, cap it off, we'll loop it 3 times on a hook and attaching it to the end peg to cap it off. Repeat for the other side, taking a single band, looping it 3 times and capping the end peg off. Go under, grabbing the bottom 2 bands and loop up it onto itself. Now let's attach our front legs onto our little sheep. Onto our loom. So I'm attaching it across from where the eyes are. So the eyes are here. I'm going to attach it from this peg to this peg and that peg to this one. So my first one, attaching on those 2 pegs, and my other legs, attaching it on that peg to that center peg. So my legs are on, so let's finish row number 5, taking our single band and covering the rest of the 8 pegs all around our loom. Go under, grab the bottom 2 bands. This one has single because we expanded it, and looping all those bands to the center. Same thing on this side because we expanded it. There's only 1 band, the rest should have 2. Push it down. That was row number 5. Row 6 and 7, we'll just do 8 single bands, covering the 8 pegs, looping the bottom 2 bands up and over. Row number 8, we're adding the back legs, looping our single band from the first to the second, taking 2 black bands, creating our hind legs, and capping it with a single band, looping it 3 times. Repeat on the other side. And looping up and onto itself for both sides. Attaching our legs onto those 2 pegs that we attached the first set of legs, repeating on the other side, and covering the rest of our loom with a single white band and looping the bottom 2 bands up and over. That's row number 8. Take our cotton ball and push it in the center, and let's take it off the loom. I'm going to start on this peg. We want to go clockwise, taking the 2 loops onto our hook, going around our loom, Careful not to lose it. So there's our little sheep or lamb. Now taking our single white band and pulling those loops onto the single band and tying a slip knot. Tuck in the slip knot band and fix our body to the way that we want. Smush him. Pull his face out a little bit. Fix his ears. So there's our little sheep or lamb. I hope you like them. Thanks for watching.